Hi, Chase here. I'm the author of The Descendant, and I'm a huge fan of Mass Effect. So, I'm here to play Mass Effect, and we'll see what happens.
On me! Point.
Oops. For starters, I've played Mass Effect a lot. This is my first playthrough now with the new Legendary Edition. There's a lot of firsts here. This is my first time playing as FemShep. I've always played as a male soldier shepherd before. This is my first time not only as a FemShep, but as someone that is not a soldier. Or a soldier class. I don't even know what I picked. Engineer. Okay, that's where we're going. Right. So, before I get, too technical on my dissection of Mass Effect, my discussion, let me illustrate here.
To me!
A little bit about what I'm doing in this game, who I am, what's going on. For starters, if you don't know, I am, as I mentioned earlier, the author of The Descendant, which is some classically inclined hardcore science fiction,
I sense trouble.
which has been published by a small publisher here. September of 2020 was the book that was released. It's available on Amazon, both in hardcover and paperback. It's available on Amazon on both hardcover and paperback. And the links for that will be down in the description. Don't throw it in something else. Sorry, I know that was kind of loud. Lots of guns. Just because she says it's secure doesn't mean I think it's secure. Anyway, links for my book. It is available both as an ebook and in paperback formats on Amazon. Will be down in the description. I have several more books in the series written. I'm working on book number 5 right now. Book number 2 is on my editor's desk, and at some point in the next couple of months, we don't have a specific date yet, whenever we're done editing and feel that it's ready to be published, it will be published. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We are working on it, but life is that was close. Life is not always convenient. The world doesn't let you. It doesn't give you permission to write. You have to take the time to do it. If you wait until it's a good time to do it, you'll never do it. So, we make time when we can. My character here, my FemShep, her name is Lydia. Lydia is actually a character from, obviously a female character from my book series, The Descendant. She appears in the second book. She's not in the first book. I'm not going to give any spoilers that way.
Rescuers? Oh, thank God. See? I told you somebody would come to investigate that signal. My name is Dr. Ross, Chief Exogeny Researcher at this facility. We've been trapped in this room for days. We're almost out of food and water. You got here just in time.
I need to know what's going on. Why is this place crawling with Thorian creepers?
How do you know about the Thorian?
I know what Exogeny was up to. I saw what they let the Thorian do to those colonists, so I destroyed it.
Our secret's out then. No point in my lying. You already know the worst. The creepers here were created using altered samples from the specimens on Pharos. We discovered a way to turn them into docile, obedient servants. Everything was
Right.
going fine until a few days ago. then all the creepers suddenly went berserk. Only a handful of us made it back into the safety of this room.
Why didn't you send a clear message asking for help? All we had was that signal from the emergency beacon.
This is a closed communications base. ExoGenny was worried about someone on the project selling secrets to a rival firm or reporting our work to the authorities. We have no direct communication with the outside, only the emergency beacon. It sends a general distress signal to the ExoGenny site on Pharos. They're supposed to send a team to respond inside of 24 hours, but it sounds like they had problems of their own.
No communication with the outside while doing genetic experiments on alien zombies to try and make a slave labor force. That doesn't sound sketchy at all. Classic.
Any chance some of the other people at the base might still be alive?
I doubt it. Too many creepers out there. They never stood a chance. We're the only ones left.
Any idea why they turned on you?
Maybe there was still some kind of link between the creepers and the Thorian back on Pharos. The Thorian was unlike any other life form we've ever studied. I can't explain how, but maybe when it died, it somehow set off the creepers here.
Now, obviously, I don't know of, and I couldn't make any scientific explanation for that kind of phenomenon. But I agree with that writing, and that would be an excellent and interesting point to make.
I've heard all I need to.
Look, I know what we did here was wrong. I'll admit that. But it's over now. There's no sense reporting this to the authorities, right?
You were in charge of this project.
Not report this.
Established
People
your
died. How do you just
responsibility.
cover up
They
deaths?
trusted you, and you betrayed that trust.
Be reasonable. I didn't mean for this to happen. Besides, how does it help anyone if I end up in jail? Normally, ExoGenny would have my back,
Whether
but
you
it sounds like they're
need
going to
for
have
it
their
to
hands
happen
full
or
cleaning
not.
the mess on Pharos.
Uh,
But I've
happened
got
anyway.
money. A nice little emergency fund I set up. It's yours if you let us go.
So I know I started introducing Lydia here, so let me talk a little bit about Lydia's personality. She is a military brat. Her father was hardcore Navy.
The victims here deserve
so is
justice.
she.
I have to take
She's
you
going
in.
to follow the regs.
That's not going to happen. Open fire. Open fire!
Go, go, go!
Dome son. Really? Here, let me help you with that. Sorry, I've been playing multiple games simultaneously, so I'm not 100% familiar with all of these controls. It'll take me a little bit of remembering. So my intention, I'm going to play through all 3 games of the Mass Effect trilogy here
I
for you.
think we're done here.
And we're going to talk about the games and the lore and the universe and the science and all of that as I progress through the games. I'm obviously already part of the way through the first Mass Effect game. Maybe halfway. But, nothing out of the ordinary has happened to the fans of Mass Effect. You all know how the beginning goes. Eden Prime. And so on. I went and picked up Liara here first. And of all people, my wife criticized me for having an all-female team. Because I have Lydia, Ashley, and Liara. But I'm a tech, she's a soldier, she's a biotic, so what more do you need to know? I mean, I've got all the bases covered. Anyway. Back to this character, Lydia. As I already said, her father was military, and she is military. She's not necessarily a tight-laced, by-the-book kind of person. To be completely honest, I forget the specific name. But she is some Russian flavor of lieutenant. And on board the spaceship she works on, she serves as the liaison between the Navy personnel who pilot the ship and the Marines who are on the ship. No, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Like I said, I'm still figuring out these controls. It's been a little bit. So, even though she is Navy, she works very closely with the shipboard Marines and actually goes planetside, goes into combat with them. Because the way the Russian command structure is set up, I'm going to have to rant about the Mako later. One thing at a time. One video at a time. The way the Russian command structure is set up. The Navy and Marines are two separate branches. And they obviously work together as a cohesive unit. But a Navy officer never has direct command over the Marines. And so we have this rank, semi-officer that Lydia occupies the position of on board the ship. That takes place in the second book. And serves as a liaison between the two branches. So if the Navy needs the Marines to do a specific thing, they don't ask the Marines. They don't order the Marines, rather. The captain of the ship would order Lydia, this liaison officer, to ask the Marines, and then the Marines do whatever it is they need to do to fill that request. And vice versa. If the Marines have an objective planetside and need to be dropped on a specific spot, and they have to borrow the shuttle and make an accurate landing, blah, blah, blah. So they have to go through this liaison officer, in the case of the second book, Lydia, to ask the Navy to do that. And, I don't know if that's how it works in the real world, but that sounds, in my mind, unnecessarily convoluted enough. Let's fly. It sounds unnecessarily convoluted enough that it could be something a military would actually do. It's part of what inspired me to have the system work that way is the old Soviet party officer on, for example, on nuclear submarines, boomers, typhoons, Soviet submarines with nuclear missiles. It was not on an American ship. You have to have the captain and the commander of the watch simultaneously to authorize the launch in order to actually launch. Whereas on a Russian ship, you have the weapons officer and the captain, and they had this weird high-ranking but without a command structure officer who was the Soviet party liaison, and who made sure anything and everything the crew and the team, the party did was in accordance with what was best for the Soviet, Communist Party. To be completely honest, in this specific moment, I don't remember the controls to get back onto the Normandy. So let me look that up. F. That seems kind of arbitrary. So, in Soviet submarines, you had to have all three of these officers there in agreement, cohesively, to launch nuclear weapons. Which, on at least one occasion that I can readily speak for, was the only reason that nuclear weapons weren't launched. So, I'm grateful for this strange Soviet system. Here, now that we're back aboard the ship, you can see Lydia. She... Like I said, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but she keeps her head shaved. She is a Navy person, but she goes into combat with the Marines. She is very physically fit, and keeps her hair short, because as people who are in combat and physically distressing situations are liable to do. She doesn't want her hair getting in the way. She's a very functional woman and is not necessarily concerned about appearances and pretty hair, because she's part of the crew. She's on this spaceship in the depths of space, and there isn't time, room, space, so on for those kinds of relationships. And through her knowledge of the military system, having gained from her father, to be honest, I'm not sure what I need to do next. So through her knowledge of the military system gained through her father, she managed to rise through the ranks very quickly. And that is often attributed to, for lack of a better way to put it, she's often accused of doing sexual favors in order to unjustly earn her rank. Alright, so this is going to be the next thing I go do. Like I said, I'm roughly halfway through the campaign, so I'm trying to catch up on some of these. Let me dig out a sticky note so I can write this down. I'm trying to catch up on some of these side quests before we get too deep into the story, especially since I'm already partway through the game when I'm starting this discussion, and I want as many opportunities as possible to discuss science and the culture, the races, the aliens that have been built to occupy this game, this universe. So, Farinata? Am I supposed to pronounce that? I didn't even spell it right. System, Hades, Gamma. Oh, I remember this. The biotic hostages. I don't know how this is going to work out, because as I said, I've always played as a soldier, and having, a swarm of biotics in a small confined space has always gotten my butt kicked, having played this specific mission in the past. Hades Gamma. This system. Let's go. Anyways, back to Lydia. These kinds of accusations have led her to distance herself, emotionally from anyone and everyone. And so, again, those kinds of beauty things, makeup, hair, etc., are superfluous to her. She is a rank-and-file combat officer. Part of what I think is important in this is I discuss the origin of Lydia. The real-world origin, you know, her lore reason for me putting her into my book. I'm bringing Alenko here. To be completely honest, I still don't know. You know, I've been playing Mass Effect since it originally came out for Xbox way back in the day, and I still don't know if you pronounce this Caden or Cadian or how you're supposed to say his name, so I'm just going to call him Alenko, because at least we know how to pronounce his last name. He's a biotic, and maybe he can do some negotiating. That's why I brought him along. I haven't used him much, though, so... Or at least not since I picked up Liara, who is a more powerful biotic. So I gotta level him up here a little bit. That's a gimme. There we go. Okay. Plus, this is a human biotic problem. So I'm bringing 3 humans on board. Now then. We know it's going to be messy. Just because I've played this before. I'll get back to Lydia in a second. Let me get through this gunfight first. Which reminds me. He's gonna need stuff. Yep. That sounds great. With 3 of us, wouldn't hurt to with 3 of us packed in a group, it doesn't matter so much if he has a lower rate of firing or more prone to overheating weapon. Anyway, now that that's set up, and we get this party started. Here we go.
Intruders! Kill the hostage! We gotta get in and execute the chairman.
They don't have shields. I know what they're doing. I know what I'm doing.
Lost shield.
Alright, put shields back up. Come on.
Gotta make sure that doesn't happen again.
Right? Let's go. That's not what I wanted. I'm forgetting controls again. Equipment. Wrong. Options. Controls. That's not the controls I was looking for. How do I use first aid? V?
Charging up!
Metagel deployed.
Alright. See if overload does work out. Alright.
Huddle up!
Well, that actually went better than I expected. I planned on dying like 5 times. Because that's what normally happens. Right. Here.
See how it is? You write letters and everyone ignores you. Force is the only thing people appreciate. So how about if I kill Chairman Burns and finish this charade?
Please, I was trying to help you people.
Now, how does killing him help them? Because they kill him and then I kill them, and you know they no longer have a reason to negotiate.
Let's not do anything we're all gonna regret.
Why not? What have we got to lose? Since the chairman here decided that we didn't get reparations, we've got nothing left to live for.
But I've changed my mind. Seeing you all, it's clear that you all deserve...
You had your chance. Some L2s are nearly crippled from side effects of the implants, but you voted against reparations.
And if you don't have
Think
him...
about this. Burns is the one man who can help you.
Yes, if you release me, I can take another look at the reparations request.
What, we're supposed to trust you?
I'm an L2 like you. Trust me. The commander can make sure that Burns follows through.
Sure, you promise us freedom and say everything will be fine, but as soon as we surrender, you'll double-cross us.
I mean...
I'm not promising to let you go. All I'm saying is that Burns will take another look. Right, Burns?
It's as much
Absolutely. I had no idea that the L2 biotics were this desperate. If I'd known, the reparations will come. For whatever it's worth, I promise that.
You're right. I don't want to die. Maybe something will happen this time. We surrender.
Thank you, Commander. I thought I was dead when they took me. I'll see to it that the reparations discussion is reopened. I didn't know they were so desperate.
I feel like this is the appropriate response. Because if she says, you know, oh, I'm just doing my job, then that kind of, you know, undermines everything that she just said. You know, everything supporting all these L2s. And if she says, oh, it's not a problem. Like, he was just taken hostage. Hell yeah, it's a problem.
Then you weren't doing your job. A Fifth Fleet cruiser will pick you and the prisoners up.
So if you're harsh on him, like she just was like, you weren't doing your job, and this is what happens. That went way easier than it should have. Okay. Now that all the noisy gunfighting is over, I can get back to talking about Lydia. The real-world Lydia Litviak was a female fighter pilot in the Soviet Union in the 1940s. She is, to my knowledge, the first woman to earn the title of Ace, or Ace Fighter Pilot, for having achieved 5 victories over enemy aircraft. And I've talked about her before. Probably here on YouTube. I know I'm on my blog. Or at least I've written blog posts about her. I doubt they're posted yet. But we'll go back to the Normandy. I feel like, being the first female ace pilot deserves a little more recognition than she has gotten. Poor Lydia did not survive the Second World War and was shot down. She died in combat. She survived the plane crash, but had head injury, head trauma from the crash after crash landing her plane in some farmer's field.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
Thank you for dealing with the hostage situation, Commander. Chairman Burns was quite impressed by the way you resolved the situation peacefully. Your assistance above and beyond the formal duties has been noted, Commander. Fifth Fleet out.
But after this head trauma from her plane crash, she didn't survive the night, and she died at the farmer's house after he found her and took her out of her plane. Took her into his home. I gotta figure out what I'm doing next. And without looking this up directly, but at least offhand, the wreck of her plane wasn't found until the 1970s. And it wasn't until the 90s that people, seriously started looking into this. And so her body was not found, recovered, and eventually removed from the shallow grave at the edge of the farm field in the middle of who knows where, Russian backwoods. And she was reburied with appropriate honors in, official military graveyards. And that didn't happen until the early 2000s. Decades after she had died. Decades after the war. So I have... Here, let me write this down. Matano... Maroon Sea... And at least, in Russia, she has gotten some recognition. But she's not just the first female Russian fighter ace. She's the first female fighter ace in the world. And I feel that deserves a little more recognition. Plus, having read her biography, a little bit about her personality and her backstory, I feel like she would be... I'm using her as a character. Or at least that had been the original intention. Lydia, as originally written in my book, was only a couple of sentences. But she has become... Wasn't this where I just was? Must not be, because that wasn't surveyed. Anyway. I had originally intended Lydia to be, 3 or 4 sentences. I needed someone to come in and distract the ship's captain. But she came back. I needed some filler later, and I was like, oh, I'll just reuse this person. And then it happened again and again. She grows more and more significant as the story progresses. Okay, so this isn't the same planet. It's just the same kind of green. So anyway, back to talking about what ended up becoming Lydia in my book. She's the Marines love her as a commander. I guess she's not technically the commander of the Marines, but for her job as the liaison, she has a significant influence in what happens. And she's a very, I don't care, if you guys are goofing off, so long as the job's done and the job's done right. And so, despite, having climbed quickly at a young age to this higher than average rank, which has, to some people, earned their resentment. That's a hole. This is going to be fun to drive through. If I can keep following this ridge. This big complex terrain is making my frames drop. Sorry. I don't have the greatest graphics card. Oops. It's a hole too. So, for not being a Marine and being a Navy officer, the Marines actually like her. She's one of the guys in their eyes and has the respect and part of her. She goes above and beyond the duty of her station, not just as this liaison, but she's very physically fit, especially for spending most of her life in, come on, there we go, spending most of her life in zero gravity aboard combat spaceships in the depths of space. And she has every intention to ride into combat with the Marines. What the heck is this?
I'm on my way.
It becomes a thing later on in the book. Like, she always wears her helmet. That's part of why she's got her head shaved, because, like, through one, event, she happened to be wearing her helmet, and it saved her life. And so now she just always wears her helmet. So that's why I have manually toggled Lydia's helmet on, even if I was too lazy to do it for anyone else. What have we here? It is a very different decryption game interface than it used to be, AXBY on the Xbox. And I'm solid. I kind of don't like it, but it is a thing. I'm not great at it, but it works. Certainly getting the practice in now. What? Oh. The controls are kind of weird, and I'm too lazy to rebind them. Let's see, what else can I say about Lydia here without giving away any spoilers? I, in part chose to use her for this. And, I don't mean specifically this, YouTube series video that I'm starting, and this is the first of. But for this playthrough, now that the Legendary Edition, the remastered Mass Effect has come out, much to my disappointment. I'm not saying it's bad. Remastering is fine. I had not heard the news about... Oh, there's a big building down there. This is going to be interesting. I had not heard news about rolling the Mako. I know, it's impossible. You can't roll the Mako. I had not heard the news about a remaster of Mass Effect trilogy, you know, in the works. And so, in order to scratch that itch, I had went and bought separately all 3 of the original games. And then a month later, remastered, you know, all 3 games in one came out. So I bought them again. And I figured if I'm playing this, you know, different remastered thing, in order to make my gameplay, you know, as different as possible compared to all of my other Mass Effect experiences, it's part of why
Rally round!
I chose enter the vehicle. Thank you. There's weird buttons to do this stuff. It's part of why I chose to play as a femshep, because, as I said, I'd always played as a male shepherd. I'd never played as a female shepherd before. And I figured that'd be interesting. I also said I've always played as... those husks? Find out.
Goddess have mercy. The entire colony must have been transformed.
It's weird how it, oh, the tire's touching. You have traction now.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Okay. Dismount. It bothers me. You press Q to dismount, but then Q is to, you know, issue orders.
Regroup!
You don't use Q to get back into the vehicle. Alright, so we know there's husks. Let's draw weapons. So later, you know, as I said, Lydia, you know, saved because she was wearing her helmet, you know, by coincidence, and...
Engaging target.
Alright, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but... she has some technical skills. So that's also why I chose to play as
Shields down.
an engineer.
Powering up.
Actually, getting in my line of fire. Hey, alright, you're not doing any help over there. Well, I am impressed at how well just being able to use the pistol is still getting stuff done. I mean, I know I found a nice pistol in the beginning. Back on Eden Prime, if you've played the game before, you know which pistol I'm talking about. This isn't that pistol anymore.
Get down!
All
I did
targets
not want
down.
to do that. I wanted to press H to holster my weapon and not throw grenades, so I wasted a grenade. Maybe I will have to reset all these keybinds
Contact.
and make them more like the other FPS games I play.
Perimeter clear.
So anyway, Lydia is a technically adept and intelligent woman. Come on. So I'm playing as a female engineer, and that's a first for me in Mass Effect. You know what? I have no idea, and I haven't saved yet. It's been a while. I've now been rolling 44 minutes. Is there fall damage in Mass Effect? There is not. Alright.
Negative contact, Shepard.
I know it's an old game, And even though it's been remastered, I'm glad that they left the quirks from being an old game in it. The stiff way that they run. The funny way she holds her arms when she runs. It amuses me. Can I open that door? No, it appears not. So that's all that's going on in here. Some husks. Sludge canister. I have to open that. Oh look, a shotgun and an assault rifle were hidden inside this sludge canister. Whatever. I always run into that problem. I have a terrible habit of just grabbing everything and never using it. I don't know what it is. It's too much effort to go through all those menus. I just want to shoot stuff. I will give one criticism of this remastering. The Mako is garbage. In the original console game, when the game first came out, way back when, it was better than this. And I managed to fix it after several planetary expeditions and campaign missions where you have to use the Mako. Oops. Wrong button to get in and out of the vehicle. Oh, I can't. So we'll move on. So the problem was, and it was completely disgusting, the way the steering was set up. So the default setting is that you steer based on the direction the camera is pointing, not the direction the vehicle is pointing. And that made driving and shooting while moving, it has a turret, very difficult. And eventually, through too many layers of menus, in my opinion, I found a setting to change that.
I'm on my way.
Out. I'm gonna have everybody whip their guns out because there's husks around. I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat something after this. So, there is a setting. And it might not work. Yeah, I want to say it's down here, and I actually have to be in the Mako, and that's why I couldn't find it. Oh no, there it is, right there. Mako camera relative steering. Turn that stuff off. It's disgusting. It makes it impossible to drive the Mako. It got to the point where I was like, I'm just gonna walk. I don't care if it takes forever. I don't want to drive this thing. It made me ill. And not in the good loud music kind of ill. Come on, girls.
To me!
So this colony got turned into husks. Somehow, some why.
I smell trouble.
Yeah, you can get through over there. But there's going to be more coming this way, so... I didn't tell them to do that. Stupid running in circles. Now I'm intentionally throwing grenades. I guess that just goes around the corner so we can take the damage. I do find the husks amusing, that they found a sci-fi way, a
That's the
universe
last of them.
and lore specific, or universe relative lore specific science fiction way to make boring regular old zombies as basic bad guys. And they're committed to it. They're stuck with it all 3 games. So kudos to those guys. I mean, while we're here, let's keep talking about them. Husks are, you know, part of the Reaper Armada. Why is there just a big empty room? I mean, I know you can only render so many game assets, blah, 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 but if this is a colony, you should have the opposite of empty storage space.
Huddle up! Position.
Oh, man. Anyway. Grr. The husks are... Yeah, so they're kind of like zombies. They are a Reaper thing. They're an early stage of Reaper conversion. I'm always bad about journal stuff. I don't know. No? Cerberus. So even, you know, if you don't know what's going on, I don't want to spoil too much. But I like how, you know, the Cerberus references in the first game are very subtle and small, few and far between. And yet Cerberus plays such a big part in the second game. I digress. Husks are the humans, average, you know, everyday people that have been taken over at a, you know, microscopic level. Because people are impaled on these giant spikes. And then those spikes percolate into them. Reaper nanomachines. Microbots. Whatever term you want to use. Can I see? That's not what I want. That destination from on this plateau? I can. There's another building down there. Cool. Back to the Mako. So, the spike retracts down into the base. You put a person on this base. Spike extends, lifts person into the air, impales them. For psychological effect, I guess, because there seems... I can't think of a logical reason to do things that way other than... I mean, it's a huge freaking needle, basically, because it injects them with these... nanomachines, microbots, whatever they're called. And, those... I'm trying to remember the lore specific name for it, and I can't. So I'm just going to keep calling them microbots. These microbots take over. Obviously, the person is dead. If they're not killed by that impaling process... the nanobots kill them. Because all of the soft tissues and liquids are going to be harvested by those nanobots and removed from the human body, leaving this nasty mummified thing like you see running around. More of them.
Now it's fine.
For having enough people in the colony to make this many husks, there doesn't seem to be any living space. Just a couple of warehouses. Stop running in circles so I can shoot you.
Fire in the hole!
Of course he dies after I throw the grenade. So,
Think we're good, Commander.
sorry. This is unscripted and I'm having a hard time staying on topic. These nanomachines, nanobots, microbots, whatever you want to call them, harvest all of the liquids from the human body and they mummify them basically from the inside out. And that's why they're called a husk. It leaves you this nasty, leathery, hollow, empty thing that used to be a person. And they, install themselves instead. And now you're basically using these mummified human bodies as remote control drone zombies. Something of that nature. And all of the built up energy inside of those people, you running around generate electromotive energy. And that's where they're getting the energy to deploy those EM pulses that wipe your shields and, I want to say they overheat your guns too. I know they're kind of OP, and I do my best to stay as far away from them as possible. But that seems to be the end of this colony, thanks to Cerberus. And now this is running nearly an hour long, so I heard the noise earlier. I'm going to do our level up thing. I only get 2 points now. This is a thing I never understood, why they changed the allocation of how many points you get. For the first few levels, as you're leveling up, you get 4 points and all your people get 2. And now, I get 2. Everyone gets 2 whenever you level up. After you've reached, well, I'm level 19, so I guess after level 18? It seems arbitrary and pointless. I'm not sure why they did that. Why not just do, 3 points all the time? Or only ever have 2 points and just, make you grind more levels? I don't know. I don't understand the reasoning for that. I can't level up basic armor? Why not? Oh, I'm out of points already. See? I was thinking I had 3 points because I said it. Here, we'll put one in fitness and one in sniper rifles. And the next time she levels up, she can get advanced immunity and assassination. She's getting the advanced lift and the advanced singularity. That's how it's done. Now, let's get us back to the Normandy. Too many buttons that do different things in different circumstances. Anyway. These husks wouldn't be very useful in my opinion. I mean, they're these nasty, ugly, horrible, mummified zombies running around. But they're just that. They're zombies. We've got spaceships and faster than light travel and energy shields and guns and stuff. And, basic zombie melee enemies are going to be way underpowered. That seems dumb. And, canonically, the minerals and liquids that are harvested from the human body are used, for whatever strange purposes the unknowable, masterful, all-encompassing Reapers have. And that seems like an awfully difficult and obscure way to obtain tiny amounts of resources. It's excessively complex, and it's not... what's the point? The only good thing that husks accomplish, aside from eliminating your enemies and giving you very basic soldiers, the most effective thing about them would be a psychological aspect. The fear of becoming a husk. And the fear of the husks coming at you. Excuse me, I'm yawning. Because, they're these ugly, horrible, mummified, somebody you used to know. Zombies. And that's got to be gross and terrifying. And, for the unhardened civilian populace, maybe that is all you need to, overpower the people. But against Lydia here, against an N7, a Spectre, and other, Alliance Marines, I feel like they're not up to the task. Anyway, I hope I didn't ramble too much for you. Threw in a little insight, and now that I've explained my intentions with this first video, in the next video I can be more focused on, kind of like I was talking about with the husks here at the end, more focused on the various science and content and things behind Mass Effect from the perspective of me, another science fiction author, and why did they do that, and so on. So I'm just going to stand awkwardly behind Joker here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.